In this lesson, we're going to switch from the service side of REST-style services to the client side. In particular, we're going to focus on one of the challenges that faces any client of a REST-style service. The working file that you're looking at in the Emacs editor is called clientchallenge.txt. In general terms, the challenge on the client is to extract information from whatever document is returned by the service. For now, there are two broad cases to consider. The first case is this. The response document is in JSON. If the client is in JavaScript, this is really good news, as we've talked about before, because a JSON document is, in effect, just the text representation of a JavaScript object. So all the client needs to do is to convert that document into a JavaScript object and then proceed as normal. If the client, by the way, is not in JavaScript and gets a JSON document, then the client needs to do something like parse the document to extract its informational content. The other case, and this is the case we're going to be focusing on at the beginning, is that the response document is in XML. This is still very, very common. And there are two general approaches that might be taken. In particular, of course, we're concerned about Java approaches. So let me address those directly. The first approach is to parse the XML document to extract the information. Now, Java has very good support for the two standard ways of parsing. One is called DOM parsing, DOM, as in Document Object Model Parsing. A DOM parse basically is tree-based. That is, the DOM parser builds a tree structure, and then the tree structure allows information to be extracted pretty easily from it. This works for relatively small documents. For large documents, a stream-based parse, a SAX parser, simple API for XML, is the standard used there. We'll get into some of these details a bit later. In any case, if a parse is done, this can be a little bit tedious because the parse has to be done, it has to be checked for success and so on, and then the information has to be extracted. The second approach is an attempt to avoid the parse altogether. So Java has very strong tools and libraries that allow XML documents to be converted into Java objects and vice versa. These technologies are grouped under the label binding. This is standard, by the way, across the industry. It's not particular to Java. So the so-called JAX-B, Java API for XML binding packages, are ideally suited for this task. Suppose that a Java service returns an array list of products. What we would like to happen on the service side, of course, is to have that array list of products automatically converted into an XML payload. This can be done with JAX-B technologies straightforwardly. But on the client side, we'd like to take that XML document and have it converted automatically into an array list of products. In fact, we'd want that behavior on the client side regardless of the language in which the service might be written. This is a typical example of what's known as XML Java binding. This second approach, this automatic conversion of XML into Java and Java into XML, requires a bit of setup, and it depends very much on what is known as the XML schema, which is an XML document. In effect, it's a grammar that describes the layout of a particular response. So in summary, what we're going to be working our way towards are JAX-B tools in Java that allow us on the client side to avoid explicit parsing of response documents in XML.